Hey everyone, Hurricane Liz here. Time for another top 5 hot KDP releases. And this time around, we're gonna look in the adult section, which if memory serves me well, we've got a lot of foul-mouthed, dirty books to get through. So I know that fires up a lot of you dirty bastards out there. I know you guys quite well. So I'm super fired up. I hope you're fired up. Let's just jump in there and do this. All right, so here we are. We are in Amazon bestsellers in the crafts, hobbies, and home section. The reason I jump into this is because this is where there are coloring books for adults, as well as some journals and stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and start off looking through the overall niche of the bestsellers in crafts, hobbies, and home. And immediately as I jump in here, we start seeing the foul mouths come out. We've got Let That Shit Go, which is #1 overall in the section. This is a journal for leaving, I guess this is leaving shit behind. That's exactly what it is. It is #1 in the entire section. Again, it starts off the foul mouth. Here's another journal, Wreck This Journal, which doesn't surprise me. And here we have the F off, this is my coloring book. So again, #1 thing in adults that you must understand, you probably have to add to your repertoire of books is a book with curse words. Adults love that crap, and you know, who can blame them with all the stress in the world at the present time. So you definitely want to have that in your catalog of books. Now, this is another interesting one. This is Modern Calligraphy Hand Lettering. So it's kind of the art of writing fancy, which I have a problem with. I cannot write worth the crap. It completely looks like chicken scratch. So I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there that have the same problem, or hey, maybe it's just me. Here we have again the curse words. So it's quite clear. #1 is curse words. If you don't have it, you're missing out. And chances are you could potentially come up with a better design than what's out there. Now, let me talk about the cons of having a curse word book. That is the simple fact that you cannot run advertising. So if you already don't like to run advertising, it is the perfect niche to jump into, get your feet wet, and try and see what you can make of it. Since you can't run advertising and it's pretty much a free-for-all, so books that catch people's eyes are what's selling. And if it catches fire, then you can sell it. Now, another way that you could swing this is if you do have a catalog of books where you are running advertising, the easiest thing to do would be to come out with a curse word book under that same brand, so that when people look at additional books available by your brand, they see the curse word books, and this could really potentially help your curse word book catch fire and hit the top in bestsellers or even in hot new releases, for the simple fact that your brand has a lot of clout and people are already searching for your brand, and therefore they're searching for other books that your brand makes. So that is a little idea that you can toss in there and see if it works out for you. So again, if you're running advertising on other books, toss in the curse word books with that brand, see what happens. If we continue moving up, we'll also notice that there is a toddler coloring book. So a lot of times this is the fact that people don't know what categories to throw their book into, and or they're just trying to see how well it would sell in the adult section. Since adults are looking through this section, they're trying to figure out what kind of books they want. And odds are that a lot of them have some sort of relationship with the toddler, whether it be their own toddler or their niece, their nephew, things of that nature. Here's another Zen as F, which again goes to the whole point that adults love curse words in their books. Here's a pretty cool one. Yes, I have anxiety, deal with it. Now, I'm not sure if this is a journal or what it is or isn't, but the point is that there is a ton of stress in the world, and this is showing you as to what's going on. Now, I will say this, we can just call this out right now. This is probably not going to be the last of what we see in this particular countdown. So I would go out on a limb and say that creating journals to help people deal with stress, anxiety, and all the management of this in the current status of the world is probably a pretty smart idea to start doing, and at least throw a few out there, see how they do, and then take it from there. But that is a decent one to get started in. We've talked about that niche in the children's section as well. So if you haven't come out with books on how children deal with stress, then it's probably a smart idea too, because I don't think a lot of people are thinking about that. I think they're so consumed with their own stress being adults, and you know, there's things that kids don't have to deal with. They don't have to worry about that crap. All they do is they live under your house and you give them money, you got to worry about it. But the reality is that they probably also deal with that stress too. So there's different levels of stress and different types of people that have to deal with stress. So if you could do that for children, it's also a fantastic idea. So if we keep going through here, we have adult coloring book, 60 stress relieving animal designs, and we also have the wedding planner organizer. And then this is really interesting. We don't want to forget about grandma, so I'm going to call this one out, a journal for grandma, specifically calling her out. Now, this can involve a lot of things. I would definitely take a peek into this and see what they included inside of it, but it's a great idea if you haven't included grandma in the niches that you're creating books maybe for mom, like for Mother's Day. Grandma is perfect. A lot of people overlook grandma. They don't feel she's as important on Mother's Day. She's just kind of an accessory, right? But make sure you don't forget about grandma. A lot of people are buying their grandma stuff like that. Here's again another lettering and modern calligraphy. So that's already 2. So I would go out on a limb and say that calligraphy books are quite hot, and it's something that you could jump into. Now, I don't really know how I would put it together, but the first thing that I would do is purchase a calligraphy book from someone else if I was actually interested in the niche, and then I would start working from there. So that would be something that I would certainly want to put out, since it does seem to be quite popular right now. Here's a brain health puzzle book, which is a very good. It again goes back to the idea where I talked about making puzzles for smart kids. It's the same idea for adults, other than this is brain health. So it promotes like trying to help adults keep their memory and things of that nature, and a whole other bunch of things. And so if we continue to move, we'll go to the second 50 and we'll see what else is going on. Wreck This Journal, we've seen those. There's a bunch of word search books and a mermaid books, as well as blank comic books. Sticker books, and then another wedding planner and organizer, and again another lettering one. So let's talk about both those. Obviously lettering, we already called it out. It doesn't just include calligraphy, but it can also include pretty lettering for people with bad handwriting. And you can also make a joke of it. People love gag gift books, so this could be for the people with screwed up handwriting or something to that effect. I'm sure many of you can come up with a better title than that, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about. The other thing is the wedding planning budget organizer thing. And that's because a lot of people are now again having weddings, and we are coming into the summer season where weddings are pretty much nuts. So brides are starting to budget. Brides are starting to think about this. If I wanted to jump into the niche, I would be doing some journals for brides. I would be doing some kind of budget planner organizer for brides, things like that. They probably sell templates on Etsy and or Fiverr, so you can get your paws on those, and that would work out pretty well for you. Now let's see, we've got a couple other ones that I'm imagining. We've got some mandala books, and mandalas are always selling. Here's another curse word one, which doesn't surprise me. Here's another baby animals. So if you haven't done baby animals, then they're obviously very popular among adults, and who couldn't love baby animals? They're hella cute. Like these things, we talked about having puppies and kitties. Well, what about baby animals and PJs? We talked about that in another video, but again, don't forget your baby animals. Here's an F This I'm Bored activity book for adults. So adults are always looking to do activities. 50 Shades of Bullshit, which is fantastic. Again, it's cursing, but also is built upon one thing that I mentioned in one of the last videos, which is take a current existing popular title and then change it up. So focus on the book being about the title. In this case, they focused on 50 Shades of Grey and called it 50 Shades of Bullshit. But there's a lot of other popular titles out there that you could also create a parody for. In this case, they did a tremendous job. They made the cover just gray. And even though it's very simple, it's got a couple little cute animals and some flowers. It's straightforward, and it's selling at $16.97 in books. Now, the interesting thing that I just realized is right now, I think this just came out and they offered it at a 1-cent sale, which is pretty insane. I guess I'm seeing it like that because I'm in Canada, but I don't know what price you guys are seeing. But anyways, that's just a quick idea of what to be looking for when you do create a book with the title. Here's beauty horror. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but that's pretty much it for the overall broad niche. Now let's go into the coloring books. So what's the best sellers for coloring books and grown-ups that we haven't seen? Well, as usual, you know that we have to kind of scroll through the first 50 or so in order to start seeing the real ones. So we saw this one last. We saw this 50 Shades of Bullshit. Here's the beauty horror one. And here we go. Here's the bloody alphabet. So I'm almost imagining that these are very similar, and books about serial killers or blood are always doing extremely well for adults. And I don't know, there's just many adults that like that kind of crap. They like the 48 Hours and the CSIs and all that good stuff. So anything in those niches, if you're talented enough or have a talented enough designer to be creating the artwork required for that, would certainly be something that you want to focus on. Here we have a fun and relaxing activity book, and we also have my cat crying in the background, which is just epic. So she's not very happy with the content that's come out thus far, but I do apologize. Here's another one we talked about in a previous video, so it's the second time we've seen it, and I'm going to finally call that out, even though I think I did call it out last time. That is books for teachers. So there's something going on with teachers. Maybe it's almost the end of the school year. Maybe it's, and it is almost the end of the school year. So this is perfect to be giving a teacher a gift, particularly a teacher that had some sort of impact on a child's life. We got the drinking animals coloring book. Who doesn't love drinking animals? Here's the stress relief I was talking about, which include the anxiety book and how well that worked out for whoever created that. Now this one, I just particularly love this one. I'm not gonna really call it out because there's not any other books like it out there, but it's very unique, it's very creative. It is $23.99 in books. So I would take a look at this if I were you, because it is really nothing that we've ever seen, but it's cute and creepy pastel goth images. So it's very well drawn, it's very well put together. I would certainly want to see what other books this girl has out there, but obviously she might be the one that's talented and she might be the one that's the artist, but nonetheless, it is doing extremely, extremely well. So other than that, I don't know if we're going to see. We got, again, curse word, and we've already had quite a few pretty darn good ideas. We've got mindfulness, which we've already talked about. So we actually do have 50 more. I forgot about that. We got calm the F down. This is another great one, the Big Fat Activity Book for Pregnant People. Although we haven't mentioned or seen another one like this, this is very unusual, very interesting, and I would imagine that it does really well. It's $33.75 in books, even though there's just one of them. I like it just to give it a shot. It would be pretty much the same as every other activity book other than the cover, which they shown here. It's kind of funny, but they managed to call it Pregnant People, which I'm kind of wondering why, but either way, it's a great idea for a niche. Here are some more effing awesomes and bird coloring. People of Walmart adult coloring book. Now I have no idea what that is. I'm even afraid to look with the outside cover, but I guess that's the whole purpose of it, and it gets me wanting to click and figure out what it is. And I'm sure you could swing this many different ways. Now, the only thing that would be interesting if you tried to swing it the Amazon.com way, I think you would immediately get banned or suspended. So you could try other corporations, but still at some point, I can't imagine that Walmart would be too happy with this coming out. Maybe somebody can enlighten me on how they managed to do this, but it is $38.09 in books with 8,700 reviews, so it's absolutely crushing it. Here's the cat butt coloring book and a couple country farm scenes. So we've got two of them, two country farm scenes, which means it's a pattern, and we got to be wondering what it is that's so special about these. But I would certainly be wanting to create country farm scenes, since it seems like ladies all across the world are coloring this shit. I can't make this up. This is $44.15 in books and $42.95 in books, both with a decent amount of reviews and both selling very, very well. So let's see if there's anything else that we come across. But other than that, it looks like we've already had about maybe 5 to 10 ideas. We've got flowers, which we've talked about in the past, magical fairies, the human body, which seems to be very, very popular, especially the big adventures of Tiny Dick, which I gotta be honest, I saw this cover being pitched by a Fiverr artist as it was his own cover, and then I had him create a cover for me, and it just didn't work out. So I kind of tend to not believe some of those Fiverr designers, as this was on his portfolio of designs, but nonetheless a very good cover for that particular niche. Here we have more hand lettering, which works real well, and some more, it looks like country style art again, which is doing very well. And I think that's going to be a wrap. Yep, that's it. Here's another curse word one. There's nothing more perfect than to end this by saying fuck this shit show. I hope you enjoyed the whole video, and I'll see you guys next time. Questions and comments below. I always personally answer them.